Formula One friends, old and new. Welcome to Finding the Wall, a wholly unserious Formula One podcast. I'm Jess, a new but extremely enthusiastic Formula One fan.
And I am Gabe, who's been watching Formula One for 35 years.
That's a long time.
It is a long time. And in that time, I have converted exactly one person into the fold. And it's you.
And that's me.
Accidentally. Wasn't even my intention.
Yeah. Now we're here to yap about Monaco.
We're going to yap about Monaco.
Yep.
There's a lot to yap about because very little happened.
It was one of the races of all time.
It really was. If you look at the calendar, it is there.
It is there every year, and it's going to be there until 2031, right?
Yes, but can I say something controversial?
Controversial yet brave?
Absolutely brave. I think it should stay there even past that point.
Okay. We'll get to that.
Yeah. How was it?
Okay. The weekend was fun.
Yeah.
This was my first watch of Monaco as an actual Formula One fan. But Monaco is one of those things that even a million years ago, before I was into Formula One, I knew about Monaco. I knew that Monaco was a big race. And even when I was a kid, and Monaco is kind of the thing you see in movies all the time. There's a whole Archer episode about le Grand Prix, in Monaco. And so I knew about Monaco, but this was the first time I had ever actually sat down to watch it. And I mean, I had heard all of it has a reputation for being boring and kind of a slog. And you can probably tell me who said this. I don't remember who said this. It said driving in Monaco is kind of like riding a bike in your living room.
Oh my God, I saw it. I forgot who it is, but yes.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't remember now.
But
I saw that quote again this weekend, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I heard that by one of the Formula One TV folks before the race even happened. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then after watching the race, I was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, it's tight.
Yeah.
It is very tight.
And the cars are huge.
They are enormous.
So, it's very different than what was F2. There was something 190 overtakes in F2, plus that huge crash at turn 1 or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
For years now, F2 has consistently delivered interesting races in Monaco. Formula E, had an amazing one 4 or 5 years ago. And there are a lot of things that there's different between these categories, but one of them is just the size of the car. And in my humble opinion, that's the one that has the most amount of weight into how the races actually go. But yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, qualifying was amazing.
It was awesome. It is one of the best qualifyings.
It was very cool.
Yeah. Usually for all the reasons that harm the race. Because
it makes there's that scale and quality goes up in quality as the other one goes down.
Yeah, because a lot of what makes Monaco a tough race is the tightness of the circuit compared to the cars. Right? It's very narrow. It's very windy. It's not a great place. There's not enough space to overtake, but that means that you have to be perfect. And when you see those cars going that fast with not a lot of space.
Yeah. That's why a lot of rookies, they were just talking about, I wonder which rookies are going to be hitting the wall.
Oh,
you just have to get used to it.
So it is usually a great qualifying because of the same reasons that make it a less than ideal race.
Yeah. I mean, good for Lando Norris getting a track record. That was very cool. Right at the end, too.
Yeah.
Right at the end. Poor Charles Leclerc. I felt so bad for him.
And doing the whole two flying laps back to back without going to the pits, which is very rare.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen often. It's kind of a gamble. But they did it and it paid off beautifully. And also getting a track record at Monaco means a lot. That's argument one for my Monaco should just stay.
So I've heard that. I think the same person who said it's like riding a bike in your living room also said, but winning in Monaco is like winning 2 of any other race.
Yeah.
And why?
I think a part of it is just the history. Monaco is part of what in auto racing is known as the Grand Slam, which are the 3 trophies of Le Mans. Monaco, the Monaco Formula One Grand Prix, and the Indy 500.
Oh, okay.
And only one person has ever won those 3 races. A lot more people have 2, but only one person has won all 3 of them.
Wow.
So, and it's like it's been in the calendar for a long time. Motor racing has been happening there for a long time. So it has the aura, right? It has achieved this status of being a very important place for motor racing.
Well, if it was such an important trophy to win, why was it so fucking ugly?
Because we are not rich enough to appreciate how beautiful it is.
I guess.
That's the only explanation.
I mean, it's the circuit, which great, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I saw that trophy and I was just like, ugh.
Yeah. So like that's number one. At this point, it has just aura attached to it, right? And the number 2 is, even though it is kind of a boring race, and by kind of, I mean it is a very boring race.
But sorry to interrupt you. I wasn't bored because I think I'm still just so enamored with F1 that I'm just like, I'm watching an F1 race. This is so amazing. I was annoyed.
I have questions. I have questions about that.
Okay, we'll come back to that and finish telling me.
Yeah, but just to finish that point it's that the reason why that like behind it being such a slog of a race. It means that like so much emphasis is put on the qualifying, and you need to be perfect in qualifying.
Yeah,
you need to be at
Lando
your
Norris
best.
Jeez.
Yeah, he is the best. He is the person who has run the best lap around Monaco in 70 years.
Yeah,
no one has ever run that track faster than he did, and that counts for a lot. And that's how you win it. Right, so it counts as 2 as it counts as 2 of a win anywhere else, because there is a lot of skill, there is a lot of metal that goes into winning Monaco. Even if come Sunday, if you make turn 1 ahead, that's probably your race to lose. You still have to go through 73 laps of a very, very tricky circuit. So there's that.
Yeah.
But at this point,
it was long. Like every race is around an hour and a half, but I was like, oh, there's 78 laps.
Yeah, but they're short laps, right? Like, they usually are much shorter. But thankfully the race is dictated by the pace of the first.
Well,
the first of the
10th. Getting into why I was annoyed with it, let's talk about that stop. Strategy or lack of strategy from some people.
Yeah.
What did you think of the two stops?
I think it didn't work.
And I kind of think, I feel like that was kind of an understatement, just because, I mean, going into this, I had heard about how much of a slog this was, but I was like, oh, now they're doing 2 pit stops mandatory. So I think I'm still excited to see what they do with that. And then like 20 laps in, I think everyone was just like, oh.
Yeah, so
okay.
if you'll remember what I said in episode 1 of the hit podcast Finding the Wall, these are teams that are staffed to the brim with like D&D rules lawyers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the moment that whole thing about 2 mandatory stops was announced, you had all of them at their factories going like, how can we milk this to our advantage? So it is on the organizers, it is on the FIAs, it is on the stewards to come up with a thing that can't be immediately subverted, right? And like during broadcasts, and I saw the people talking like there were things that they maybe could have done, like saying you have to stop twice, but one of the stops needs to be until lap 20, the other one needs to be there. But
there's so many like ideas flying around of like, how could you actually make this work? Or how could we scrap that and then make Monaco, like I think George Russell said that you should give everybody a button and it'll start a sprinkler. Once during the weekend, you can start a sprinkler.
It is not an easy problem to solve because my completely valueless 2 cents is that it's the size of the cars.
Yeah. They're going to be slightly smaller next year, but not, I don't think, enough to really make that much of a difference.
We'll only know in May of next year.
Yeah, true.
Like, but it's the size of the cars. The cars are too big because as we mentioned earlier, like other categories run there and have great races because they can actually go side by side. They can actually challenge a corner with the other driver. And off F1, there's no space, right? So, but to the point of the 2 stops, it's not an easy problem to solve. So I don't fault the FIA for having an idea.
They tried it.
They tried it. It didn't really work. I think at this point, with 75 years of Formula One, you should know who you're talking to. So more care, like you need to have at least one person in the FIA whose whole job is to be like, how can I be a cunning little bastard?
They need to hire Brennan Lee Mulligan.
Yeah, right. You need that person to go like, we're thinking about adding 2 stops. And they go like, oh, well, if I'm a team that has 2 drivers close to each other, I'll just,
just hold up the whole pack.
Hold up the whole pack so they can stop in peace and then mess up. Holding up the pack is a thing that has already happened in Monaco. It is not exclusive to this race, but there were different sets of incentives. And it got into this. It's like, it didn't work. That's the short answer.
This is why I was so annoyed watching it, because number one, I like George Russell. Like, I am a McLaren girly, but I do like George Russell a lot because I think that he's like really funny and posh and just like he's such an F1 driver. But I just knew that him sitting behind the Williams team, sitting behind the Williams team was fuming. He was George Russell was lapped. I cannot imagine what was going through his head when he sees like Verstappen and then 2 papaya cars and then the Ferraris just like going past him. I think Kimi was lapped like twice. Like, what? Like, I just felt so bad for him. And then I think Alex Albon had a nice like horse and carriage processional happening. I mean, I know it wasn't just him. It was also the V-Carb, the Racing Bulls folks too. And I can't say, I can't fault him because it's not against the rules, but it's also just boring as shit, annoying, when the most exciting part of that race was when George Russell was like, fuck it, we ball, and just like went over the chicane and just said, I'm taking the penalty. And then Kimi Antonelli did the same thing. And he had, surprise Pikachu face when instead of the 10-second penalty, or even 30-second penalty, like he got the drive-through penalty. But he was just like, I'm doing it. And he still came out better, even taking the drive-through penalty, than he would have stayed there and not gotten ahead of the Williams team.
So do you, entering the land of hypotheticals, do you think you would have enjoyed a race more if nothing had happened, no overtakes had happened at all, but there was no egregious holding up of the pack?
Probably not. But it probably would have been, like you said, more boring instead of rage-inducing. Because it's like, okay, they're basically...
It's a parade.
It's a parade. Yeah, it's a processional. They're going to be in this order until the end. So, cool. Do I have a video game I could play? Do I have my Switch and then I'll have the race on in the background? But I did watch the entire thing. Because again, I am new to F1, so every F1 race to me is just like, yay, I'm watching them race. Yeah. But I was so mad for the Mercedes team and Toto Wolff.
Be mad.
Being mad. My favorite meme to come out of this race, and we're not doing like a meme review here because number one is an audio.
Paint a picture with your words, Jessica.
I'll paint a picture. So when all of this was happening, and I think Alex Albon was the one that was really holding them up, and the camera goes to Toto Wolff up in his booth, and he just looks at the camera and then has the slightest of like head shake, and it was dagger eyes, and they cut away from him like quick. He was just like, and because he was so mad, and like George Russell at one point was just like, I can't even speak right now. Like,
they are all pro clutching divas.
Here's my question.
Yes.
If V-Carb didn't do it, and if Williams didn't do it, would Mercedes have done it?
Oh, anyone, these are the teams who did it. because they were the teams that had drivers in a position to take advantage of that.
Yeah, they were side by side.
Because they were like in close proximity to each other, that makes it advantageous to them to do something like that. The only reason everyone didn't do it is that there was a bigger spread.
Yep.
So there's the two things there. One, Russell has been lapped before. He has to be used to it by now. And two, I am confident that with what they brought to the race this weekend, Mercedes would have been lapped regardless.
Yeah, they've had
like they qualified like they weren't out of queue. They were out of queue.
They were what 15, 16 or something like that, or 14, 15.
They barely made it to
that.
Q2. So
it was a bad week all around for Mercedes.
They did. It was so bad that they tried their own very weird strategy that they talked about a lot in the broadcast of like, there's no difference between finishing 11th and 20th. So they did the whole thing like, we're going to stop at the end of the race and just see what happens.
We're just not going to, because they didn't pit at all until almost the end of the race. Were they trying to wait for a safety car? Mm-hmm. Were they doing a Max Verstappen leading the race?
Yeah, so like
waiting for that red.
That alone would have made them hold up the pack.
Yeah.
Right? Not as intentionally, not as egregiously, but they would have lost performance before everyone else did. So they would be the ones holding up the pack by just wanting to stop very late.
Yeah.
Again, not by the same amount, but still. And that would have gotten them lapped. Just being 16th would have gotten them lapped.
Yeah.
So, like, that's where the whole that outrage, right, is both honest and also kind of fake.
I also felt bad just because like Oscar Piastri's my guy, and he had a terrible weekend.
Had a very bad weekend.
But he still came in third. That's the thing about Oscar Piastri. Like he's in a McLaren, which is like the fastest car ever, and he is such a smart driver that even when he has a terrible weekend, he's still going to podium.
Yeah.
And he was like, I think we joked last time where I think it wasn't Crofty, it was the other one.
Martin Brundle.
Do
you think at any point you're going to remember his name?
No.
No? Okay.
Probably not.
That's
it's
good.
one of those things that I could just never keep it in my head.
Yeah.
I keep on wanting to call him Grundle.
Call him Grunt.
Just call him, Grundle.
Yeah.
But Martin Brundle said that Ali Berba was running his own race.
Yeah.
I felt like this time Piastri was running his own race, against himself.
Yeah.
Because he's always running against himself. He's not exactly fighting everybody else.
Yeah.
Like he wants to be better than himself. And I don't know. I respect that. And he got up to, once he finally got around everybody, he got up to the first three really quickly when Max was still leading the race.
Yeah, but then like Max was holding them up, and at some point Norris was holding that's a thing about Monaco is that it's very easy to set the pace.
Yeah.
And then you set the pace to your advantage. If that is, and sometimes it is like this kind of shenanigans as we saw this weekend. Sometimes it is, I need to conserve my tires. I need to try to do an undercut, or I need to try to prevent from an overcut. Like whatever it is that you need to do, like whatever pace you need to set, you can safely set that pace. And that's the race that it is. So this weekend, it just happened that it enabled a lot of shenanigans by teams that were in a very specific position to take advantage of that.
Yep.
So the question, the thing is like, how can it be fixed?
Yeah.
And, I don't have an answer.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I do think that whatever it is needs to be tried needs to be vetted by just get a teenage, just get a extremely online person to get a gamer.
Well, if they need to try something and they need to get like the people behind it, they just need to let everybody know that MBS hates this idea. Just tell everybody that MBS being like Mohammed bin Sulayem,
president
of FIA, who everyone hates, just tell everybody that he is super against it, and then maybe everybody would be like, yeah, let's try it.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Let's do it.
I hope you have a better experience of Monaco next year,
We'll see. I
or
don't
at least
know.
a different one.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a race.
Yes, it hasn't always been this boring. It has always been a place that is difficult to overtake.
Yeah.
It hasn't always been this much of a slog, but it's something that, to me, as an old fan, to me, it is this kind of thing. You watch it for what it is,
Yeah.
right? And I think it's a lot better to be in a position of kind of expecting, because I went into this weekend being like, oh, I wonder if this is gonna work. This might actually make a difference, and it didn't make the difference that I had hoped it would.
Yeah.
But it made enough of a difference for me to be like, wow, I watched that, right? But I still defended it. It should stay in the calendar, not in the like accept it for whatever it is. Try to find a way to make it work. But it's Monaco.
Yeah. It is beautiful.
Oh God, yeah.
Every time they showed the wide, or they showed them zooming past in front of the harbor, or they had this amazing drone that showed the entire circuit. That was very cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm into watching Monaco. I'll just have to bring my Switch next time so that I can do some Power Wash Simulator while I'm watching.
They should have a
watching
Monaco
race.
DLC that you would just clean the track.
God. Formula One Power Wash Sim DLC.
Oh my God.
I need to talk to people at Future Labs. I've my other life, I have a video game podcast, so I talk, and I work in video games. So
Talk to them.
Yeah. So that was Monaco. So would you shall we chat about what we learned?
Yeah. What have we learned?
I learned a few things, few fun things in this one. I learned that you can get a grid penalty in practice.
Yeah.
They were pretty bad, and apparently that doesn't happen all that often, getting
No.
grid penalties in practice. So Lance Stroll got it ended up being 4 after all was said and done. And then Ollie Behrman had a 10. It didn't really make a difference, though, especially to Stroll, because he was 19th anyway. So he got a 1 grid penalty and then a 3 grid penalty. So he just started in 19th because Ollie Behrman got like a 20,000 grid penalty. So that's what I learned. I also learned what a drive-through penalty was. I didn't know what this was.
They are kind of rare.
Are they?
Kind of.
It was interesting because I was like, drive-through penalty, what the hell? And it's like, oh, he has to drive through the pit. And he can't stop. He can't like use it for a pit. He just has to drive through the pit. And I don't know how fast you can go in the pit. It's
80 kilometers.
80. Okay.
If I remember correctly.
But it's like very slow.
Yeah.
And it takes you like 20 seconds or something to get through maybe the whole thing. So I was just like, oh no. He's mad. He is mad. And I like George Russell, so I felt bad for him. So yeah.
I think the thing that I learned, that I then learned more about and realized that there wasn't that much to learn, was was related to the George Russell incident of he did his thing, overtaking by cutting the chicane, and then expecting the 5-second penalty for leaving the track and gaining an advantage.
Yeah.
And then he gets a drive-through, and I was like, huh. That was very clear that it was because the stewards took into consideration why he did what he did.
He did that shit on purpose.
Yeah. And it is a long-standing, it is a standard for the stewards that they should not take the consequences of the action or the motives for the action necessarily into account to have, this infraction is to have the semblance of fairness, and this infraction results in this punishment. And then you don't have like biases imbued in that process. But then suddenly there was bias imbued in the process. Like, wait, they can't actually take that into account? That is very weird. I wonder how that's going to go down. And then I was very like, I don't remember ever seeing that happen.
You see it written into the rules in pencil, like over on the side.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's right here.
Yeah.
Wow.
But then when I was reading about it today, I saw that the steward's explanation was like, yes, we did that because the radio communication made it clear that he intentionally did that
I mean, he
to
did
get
say,
around.
I'm taking the penalty.
Yeah, right.
But this isn't just because I love George Russell,
Mhm.
but he did say he felt really unsafe
Oh,
being behind those folks because I mean they don't have brake lights. So
mhm.
you can't like know when
Yeah.
he's braking, and they were egregious with
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean 7 seconds like per lap.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could see why he was just like, I'm doing it.
Yeah. You know, it is extremely frustrating.
Yeah.
And I don't really care to justify or attack him for doing what he did. Like, all right, do it. Um,
It was the only exciting thing that happened in the race. So I feel bad for Mercedes,
Yeah.
but I'm really happy he did it. I was just
Yeah.
like, oh shit, he's over like the Nouvelle Chicane.
Yeah,
And then
and-
Kimmy was like, I'm doing it too.
yeah, and I think my favorite thing about that is that it's entirely inconsequential.
Yeah.
He didn't gain anything other than like he was stuck in traffic and suddenly he like took the off ramp and like I'm not stuck in traffic anymore.
It was road rage.
So yeah, it was just road rage. But that was very like, oh wait, am I about to learn that there are occasions where we take the whys into account? But then in the steward's document, they're like, yeah, we did that and we gave it a drive-through because the radio messages made it clear that it was entirely intentional. And in accordance to the drivers meeting that we had where everybody knew that if they did that intentionally, we're going to give them a drive-through. We gave him a drive-through. And I was just like, oh, so
the secret rule book that they have over to the side.
it's not a secret rule book at all. It's just a thing that they're like, hey, if you do this is going to happen. And then someone did that. Then it's like, this is going to happen. And they're like, I can't believe you're doing this to me. I'm like,
Oh, I get
buddy,
it. Yeah.
it was right there.
Yeah.
You knew it. So yeah, the thing that I learned that was the most interesting is the thing that I ended up not learning at all.
I have two more little
Yeah.
fun morsels of things that I
Yeah.
learned. I learned taking the racing number 69 is not explicitly against the rules,
Uh-huh.
but they say that they frown upon it heavily.
So
The
it's
FIA frowns upon it.
Not nice.
It's a not
in
nice
Formula
thing to
One.
do,
Okay.
but it is not explicitly illegal to take the number 69
Mhm.
if you were for your Formula One number.
I have no idea if someone has ever done it.
I don't know. I think
That-
it would be great. And the other thing that I learned, it was actually about the Indy 500, which happened the same day,
Mhm.
which I think Toto Wolff said that he got on a plane like right after Monaco
Mhm,
to go to the Indy. And I don't really watch Indy. My partner watches Indy, or because he's actually from Indianapolis and they used to go when he was younger. But it fits back into Formula One because before the Indy 500 race, they had a Wienermobile race. And it was one of the most delightful, wonderful things because it was like Wienermobiles from all different places.
Yeah.
So they were all just regular Wienermobiles, but they had different decals on them depending on where they came from. And they just did I think they did 2 circuits around the Indy 500 and it was amazing. And I'm like, we need to do more shit like that in Formula One. Not that we need to bring the Wienermobiles to to Monaco, but I was just watching that and thinking, this is so delightful. And a couple of weeks ago, we had the Lego race
Yeah.
in Miami, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, I know you can do this.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you love to see a processional, like the driver parade, and they're all like running around in Wienermobiles? I mean, come on.
You were asking a very jaded Formula One fan, and my answer is like, I do not care. I, by and large, do not care about anything that happens until the race starts and after the race ends, or qualifying.
I'm always a
practice.
sucker for any other
Yeah.
type of whimsy.
Yeah,
Like,
and-
give me whimsy.
And I say that with no judgment. I want you to enjoy this as much as you can, but I have been doing this for a long time,
I
and at this
know.
point, I'm just like I'm tuning in when it starts, and I'm turning it off the moment that it ends.
I don't do that.
No, you don't.
So I've been watching because we have F1 TV, so I've
Mhm.
been watching the lead up to the race and then like the after show, and it's just it's really interesting to me.
It is, yeah.
Well, let's ask the age-old question:
Mhm.
Was there intrigue?
Well, yes, But I learned from you today that there is a much bigger intrigue than whatever bullshit that I had prepared. What team is it about?
It is about Ferrari.
No way.
It is.
It's always them.
So rumor mill, and this is all rumors.
Yes.
Rumors upon rumors today that Ferrari has approached Christian Horner to come and be team principal at Ferrari. Because there's been the rumor mill going for the past, month, basically, that Christian Horner is going to be out at Red Bull. But it's literally just rumors. And I hope it does not happen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I hate Christian Horner. And if he was team principal at Ferrari, I would have to root against Ferrari. And I don't dislike Ferrari now. Like, I like Hamilton. I like Leclerc, who is so unlucky. You know, I like Ferrari now. They're not my team, but they might be my third favorite team or so, because Ferrari is just fun to root for, because you're always going to kind of be a little bit disappointed.
Yeah.
It's like, what is happening? But if Christian Horner came there, I would absolutely not. I would wish for their downfall.
Yeah. If I may say another controversial thing, I think it would be really cool if it happened. Because in my humble opinion, the problem at Ferrari is not a bad team principal. And maybe the best argument for that is that they have gone through a lot more team principals, especially for a team of that size, than they should have.
Yeah.
And Vasseur is not a bad one, and I think he seemed to have gotten a lot of things on track. But sitting here in Brooklyn, knowing nothing at all, but having this glimpse at this giant organization every few weeks. To get to this slice of that organization, it seems like there are personnel and philosophies that just need to change. Something about their car development is not working, and they have gone through enough team principals that haven't fixed the problem that makes me believe that, like, it's not the team principal, right? Or at least, like, if it is a team principal, none of them have somehow identified the problem.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you either got a series of not really good team principals, or you have gotten team principals but have not let them do their thing.
I have a theory. There's a gremlin loose in Maranello.
Oh, yeah.
And this gremlin goes around and causes havoc and changes numbers when they're designing the cars. And I now think that gremlin might have moved to Mercedes.
Yeah, the gremlin is Jean Lézy. You don't trust me.
I'll look that up afterward.
Yeah. But anyway, Horner would be such a giant departure from the style of team principal that they have kind of gone for a little bit. You know, Binotto and Vasseur are not the same person at all. But it's different. Like, Horner would be this huge injection of, like, something new. And I do not think, based on whatever parts of his personality we have been able to see over the years, that if he gets a Ferrari and goes like, the pit wall team sucks and needs to get out, and someone at Ferrari goes like, no, we do things the Ferrari way. I think Horner's going to be like, well, I'm out.
Yeah, it'd probably be written into his contract. It's like, you will not defy me.
If all of that is true,
if you defy me, I will send you dick pics.
If all of that is true, it would be wild. Like, it would be such a departure from the norm at Ferrari that I don't have no idea if it is what they need.
Who knows?
But, like,
I don't know.
But it would be very interesting to see.
Well, I hope it doesn't happen, because I am comfortable disliking Red Bull.
Yeah.
And I don't want to dislike Ferrari.
That's fair.
But maybe I would like Red Bull more if Horner moves somewhere else.
I think if I liked Ferrari more, I would be on your camp.
Yeah.
But I do like Ferrari.
I do like Ferrari.
Yeah.
They're not my team, but I don't actively hope that they.
One of my life's greatest disappointments was when my biggest Formula One friend of decades, who was a McLaren fan, one day he was just like, I'm a tifoso now.
Oh, no.
And I was like, why?
And then he takes off his papaya jersey to have the red Ferrari underneath. What a betrayal.
Yeah, I was betrayed. He was my McLaren buddy for like close to 2 decades.
Wow. Well, I am now your McLaren buddy for close to 2 months.
So screw you, my old friend.
No, I think that's probably great. But it's also fun to have people who are rooting for a different team.
Oh, yeah.
I think that because my partner, he also likes McLaren, but he also really likes Mercedes. So I'm hoping that he like firmly gets into the Mercedes camp so that we can kind of have a little rivalry, but McLaren is better. So I could still be like, yeah. So that was my intrigue for the week.
I have a quick question then.
Yeah.
How do you think you're going to feel if next year comes and like next year is a big regulation change?
Yeah.
And McLaren gets the car wrong.
Look, I've been a Knicks fan for...
Say no more.
I've been a Knicks fan for a really long time. I am used to being heartbroken by a team, but still rooting for them.
Okay.
So I am a papaya girly through and through.
Good.
Even though Lando Norris is not my favorite. I love Oscar Piastri. Lando Norris is fine. But yeah.
Okay, good. Because always be ready for that.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
Even when there are
so much is changing next year. Who knows? So much is changing for Barcelona.
Yeah.
Like the whole front wings are changing.
Yeah.
Like no more flappy front wings.
So,
now they're going to be stationary front wings. We don't know what's going to happen.
So yeah, year to year, even if the regulations don't change that much, you should still walk into. That's my advice to you. Walk into preseason testing and be like, I hope everything goes well.
Yeah, but if
but
not,
God give me strength if it doesn't.
Again, I'm a Knicks fan.
Okay.
Shall we give our Finding the Wall Championship
It is
award?
time to let the people know who actually won Monaco.
Yeah. So for those of you that are new here, we have our own awards to give out near the end of every show. We have 5 categories, and the first category for this week is anger management. So who gets your anger management award?
Before that, real quick, did you have a lot of like nominees for other categories this weekend? Because I struggled.
Kind of. I didn't have a lot for best overtake. but you know, I get real creative with these things. So I didn't have too much trouble.
Okay. My anger management award goes to Fernando Alonso on lap 18.
Yeah.
Being told to push because it was going to be strategically important that you push right now, and it just screams, I can't push now.
I can't push. That was so good. I thought you were going to say like when his car crapped out on him.
No, I think he was relatively calm about like in that one. I think it was more inflamed.
Yeah.
When he was just saying, I cannot
push. I cannot push.
How do you want me to move?
It's funny because with Fernando Alonso, his comms, like he will yell.
Yeah.
Not a lot of the other folks yell as much.
Yeah.
And he will yell.
Yeah, he has nothing to lose now. It's just he's the old uncle. It's awesome.
I love him. He's the oldest rookie ever. My anger management award goes to George Russell.
That's a good one.
Yeah, because I mean, when he found out he had the drive-through penalty, and he was just like, I would rather not speak right now, because he knows that you're gonna get your like $5,000 to $10,000 fine if you curse over the comms. But he was just too mad to speak, and I don't know. It's just funny saying funny is bad because I'm delighting in somebody else's like road rage, but just thinking of him in this car, just like behind the Williams team, and and they're basically like in this like hammock underneath, and he's just like, go Williams, just go. Instead of go Williams, just go Williams, and then they weren't going, so he's just like, I'm going. So yeah, my anger management goes to George Russell.
Yeah, he got mad.
He got real mad.
I think you were absolutely allowed to think it's funny. Because it's none of this is real.
None of it matters. Like, you know, everybody was fine. No one got hurt, so it does not matter.
This is a race in the streets of Monaco. This is not real life.
with Jeff Bezos
With Jeff
looking
Bezos
on. They
just
kept
looking
going
on.
to Jeff Bezos, and I'm
Yeah.
like, come
This is a
on.
place where like someone right before they go onto the podium goes like, "You please wait the royal family to leave
before
you actually like
shoot
open
your
the
champagne everywhere." So funny.
This is not real life.
And then the royal family like backed up against the wall.
Mhm.
And because I can't imagine how much even just the shoes that
Yeah.
they were wearing
Yeah, yeah.
would be destroyed by the champagne. And and Zach Brown got up there.
Yeah.
I knew he was going to go up there.
Yeah. So it's fine. It's funny.
fine.
It is funny to think that it is fine to think that it's very funny
Yeah.
that George
it was
Russell
fun.
got mad.
I could just sort of just fuming.
Yeah.
Okay. So our second Finding the Wall Championship Award goes to the most cursed.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the most cursed this week?
There were a few good options, but I think just because of how quick everything happened, it is Piastri trying to undercut. Like, stop to undercut Leclerc.
Yeah.
3.5 seconds left.
Yep.
Pit stop.
Never mind.
how condensed it all went, and how like it was just like, hey, you have this opportunity to just take someone else's place at Monaco, which is who knows. It was extra funny.
And then Norris had the audacity over the comms to be like, if Piastri could put a little heat on Leclerc, that would help me out a lot. and I'm just like, he's trying. He can't even get up to it. But he did get up to it eventually.
He did. But the thing is, like, all of that
Max.
is kind of funny because, like, if you were Norris and you really want, I think he was also kind of like, I want to keep close to Max.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'm being held by Max, and then Leclerc, that gives Leclerc the opportunity to kind of be on my ass. But he could just, like, back up. Like, if you really want Piastri to catch Leclerc, just make that happen.
Yeah.
You don't, like, just make that happen. You can make that happen in half a lap.
You could be a horse and carriage for just a little while.
Yeah. So it's like, I understand, but it's also, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, he's not gonna pass you. He's not going to pass you.
There is a 4-second window to pass.
Yeah.
No, he'd be fine. So
You?
my most cursed, there was an honorable mention for most cursed because I almost said like Leclerc again, just because I can't imagine what his face looked like when he just knew he had pole. You just knew that he had pole, and then here's Norris and Piastri actually doing one more like flying lap, and then Norris got it. Track record. Everybody talking about Norris, that he's like just like driving slowly into the P2 box and then getting out of the car. But he's fine. He still came in second.
Yeah.
But my actual most cursed is Fernando Alonso because he did not finish the race.
No.
And he would have had points.
Yeah.
He would have had points. And I don't care about Aston Martin, honestly, but if I want Fernando Alonso to get some points this year.
Yeah. No, he's probably gonna get some.
I hope so. I hope so.
But this is the worst start of the worst start of his season in, I think, since his McLaren days, like a decade or something like that.
So
I'm very bad at stats, but it is a bad
now
year.
I just want him to finish a race.
But here's the thing: he's cursed, but also blessed because like his car breaks right before one of the only two escape areas in Monaco,
and he just pulled right in. He didn't have to go to the pit.
I saw that being referred to as like it's the senior citizen spot.
Oh no, it's handicap parking.
Just like
that's
the
terrible.
senior citizen parking for the track is right there. So it's like, okay, so it stops.
Oh, poor Fernando Alonso. Okay,
so next one.
The next one is the Cuntiest comms. Who is your Cuntiest comms?
That one I had a lot for, and I think I gave it to not. It is not the Cuntiest in spirit, but I think it's the best Cunty communication. It is My Shifts Feel Like Monaco Grand Prix 1972.
I was wondering when we were going to talk about that.
It's like it is
so funny.
It is not, he's not making this big complaint. He's just this whole thing about like giving the pit wall an assessment of the car happens 1,000 times a race.
Yeah.
That's fine. But just like imagine being like, the shifts are kind of off.
Yeah.
His downshifts are kind of off. And then go like, but I don't want to just say that. gonna say that it feels like a 1972 car, and I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. None of it makes sense.
I did get a chuckle out of it.
Oh yeah,
I did get a
it is
chuckle.
brilliant. I loved it. That is the Cuntiest one because it's just like, just take. I think it's important to reward the time and effort that he put into like, what is the craziest thing that I can say to dress up this very normal message that I'm sending over the radio.
That was my runner-up for Cuntiest comms. My actual Cuntiest comms is actually Pierre Gasly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when he got hit by Lance Stroll in qualifying, and then he was like, "Who is that?" And they were like, "Oh, it was Stroll." And he was like, "Oh, Stroll. Shocking."
Oh.
He was like, "Oh, it's Lance. Shocking."
Oh my God.
And I was just like, "Oh, it's so funny." I was like, I'm glad like, they all hate Lance Stroll, right?
They all hate each other.
Yeah, it's true.
They're all friends who hate each other. And the ones that don't hate each other should.
Yeah.
So, it's glorious.
Yeah,
it's really
great.
nice.
I love it.
That's a very good one.
So
next one.
Next one is the best overtake.
There were two.
Yeah.
There were two very good ones.
I thought there was only one.
There were two very good ones.
Oh.
In my list, they're kind of equal, but I think it is either Bortoleto on Antonelli or Antonelli on Bortoleto.
No, there was another one.
No, like in my list.
Oh, okay.
But what was the other one?
Lance Stroll. This is why doing this category was actually really painful for me because I thought there was only one overtake, and it was Lance Stroll on Hulkenberg.
I don't even remember seeing that.
Yeah, it was apparently like a good overtake. So I was like, shit, I have to give an award to fucking Lance Stroll for that was my best overtake because I thought that was the only one.
Yeah, I chose Antonelli on Bortoleto because it stuck, and I thought it was really cool how he read it very quickly, and like it was more punishing because Bortoleto's overtake on Antonelli at Lowe's, that big like slow the slowest corner in Formula One.
Yeah.
Was very clever, and like how quickly he saw it that Bortoleto chose the
Is
line.
that the hairpin turn?
The very tight hairpin.
Yeah.
That's Lowe's. And then like he passes on the outside, which doesn't happen, and it would never happen in normal racing conditions. But because it was lap one, they were still like kind of in a line. He just read it and was like, I can do, and he made it like he got it. But then he kind of very naively opens the door, and from the angle you can see Antonelli be like, "Oh, I see a gap," and he just like puts his elbow out and pushes through.
Good for him.
And then Butler like goes into the wall, caught by surprise. And
he's like, "Oh, overtaking!"
Yeah, like someone's here, like goes into the wall,
knocking on his back door.
I think there were two very good overtakes, but for some reason, like Antonelli got the coolest one for me.
Cool. Yeah. So yeah, mine was Lance Stroll.
Well, this is good because it's gonna make Stroll happier.
Yeah.
He needs it.
Yeah. He needs the points.
He needs the points.
Although he does have more points than Fernando Alonso, and that is a travesty. And the very last championship award for Monaco is Best Wall Found.
Yeah. Who do you have?
For me, it's Oscar Piastri.
Oh.
Yep. So there's two times that Oscar Piastri found the wall. There was one time, I think it was practice, or was practice or qualifying? It was practice, where he literally like went straight into the wall and lost the front wings, but he was fine. The car was fine. He went in and they put another front on it, and then he just got right back out there, and because he just went perfectly straight into the wall.
Yeah.
But actually, my favorite is almost at the very end when he was fishtailing just a little bit, and then his back tire just kind of kissed it, just kind of, and you thought he might have been going out of control, but then he got it back. And that was it was a little scary for me because I like Piastri so much, but he had a wobbly weekend.
He had a very wobbly
weekend.
weekend.
So but he definitely hit the wall with his back tire.
Yeah.
But everything was fine. He got it back. I think it was in his rush to catch up with Leclerc.
Yeah. That's a good one. There's all of the like tiny tiny wall packs that happen in Monaco are really cool.
Yeah.
Even though I do think that they're being harmed by that stupid like very close to the wall, 0 centimeters. Like
Yeah, 4 centimeters, 1 centimeter, 0 centimeters.
Just a still shot of the car going around the corner so you can see how close it is so much more impactful than that stupid Chiron.
They have the camera that's pointed straight at it.
Like if you
that was fun.
Take all the graphics out, show me just that in slow motion. It is so much more important, so much more impactful than having this goddamn stupid like 1 centimeter, therefore very close to the wall, which is one, you're giving me useless information because it is irrelevant to me to know exactly how many centimeters you are from the wall because it doesn't matter. And then you give me that useless information and you dress it up into pointless categorization of like 1 centimeter is actually very close to wall. I was like, I had no idea. Wow. It's dumb. I hate it. But anyway.
Yeah, who's your favorite wall
My
found?
favorite wall found is Gasly. Because it's just like he's completely insane for just coasting to the goddamn pit lane.
It was so good.
I have no idea what was going through his head.
No brakes, and he's just like, I'm just gonna go. Let's just go. Let's just keep going. Momentum.
Entering a pit lane with no brakes is deranged behavior. It is complete. Like he needed to be stopped by his own team. That is insane.
Yeah.
And but I'm not even taking that into account. I think it's just very funny to come out of the tunnel and be like, I have no brakes. And then just run into someone and be like, all right. And it was it was the most exciting crash.
Yeah, I guess he just didn't want to like fuck up the car even more than it already was by actually like hitting something.
He already had no wheel.
I know. I know.
I know that you can't stop, right? But like coast somewhere.
I gotta think about that's something that I would do. I would just be like, let's just keep going. Well, there's a pit. Let's go.
I have also not looked up to see if anyone asked him like, why?
I wonder.
Because
somebody had to have asked him. We'll find it after.
Because it's, there was escape area right in front of him that he could have gone to, but maybe there's not enough space and doesn't have a brake and doesn't want to hit the wall, which is still kind of dumb. Like you have hit the walls before. You're going to survive this. You're already going slow. It's going to be fine. But even if you don't want to do that, go on the track and coast and then stop like before we get to the swimming pool. No. He just kept going with a wheel dangling, which is dangerous.
Yeah.
There is dangerous. And then he just goes into the goddamn pit lane.
Yep.
With no brakes.
Yep.
Like deranged behavior.
I liked it.
Yeah.
It was entertaining to me.
Yeah.
And that's it. That was Monaco.
That was Monaco. It was one of the Monaco of all time.
It was one of the races of all time.
It really was. But it was your first Monaco.
It was my first Monaco.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it because it's F1.
Mm-hmm.
And cars go fast.
Yeah. I've mentioned this to you before. I think the most important thing is to learn to enjoy this for what it is. Some races are going to be boring.
Yeah.
Some races are not going to be boring.
Well, we'll find out next weekend.
We're going to find out next weekend.
Because it's the last of the triple header in Barcelona.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited because Barcelona, I've heard, is like the test track, basically. It has everything that you want from a track.
It was the test track.
Cool.
For I don't know how long, but it was quite a long time until they moved it to the Middle East.
Excited to see some overtakes again. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. We'll talk about it after the next.
You're going to see more overtakes. I'll say that.
Okay.
Huh?
We'll find out together.
More overtakes will be had
after the next race. So as we close the show, I just want to let everybody know that in my day job, I actually work in video games, and I actually have a video game podcast called Stupid Little Games, and it's where we talk about all things gaming from the inside out. So each week I sit down with various insiders from the game industry, and we talk about our current gaming sessions. We tell stories from projects past and present, and then we play a stupid little game that I write specifically for each guest. So you can search for Stupid Little Games on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. And it would be awesome if you listen to that. It's part of the Stupid Little Podcast Network, which is what this podcast is part of as well. I have a network now. That's crazy to me. But also, if you like this podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcast app. And a review goes a really, really, really long way. And it really helps us out. We're a new little F1 podcast, and we would love to get our yapping in more people's ears. And if you want to follow me on the social media, I'm on Blue Sky at caketease.bsky.social. That's CAKETEASE at bsky.social. And
you should follow Jessica.
You should follow. Where can people follow you if you want?
Nowhere.
Nope. Okay.
Nowhere.
It's fine if you don't want people to follow you. You can follow him here. So follow this podcast.
This is the only place you can hear from me. So do that.
Or you can hear me roast him on the other podcast because he is the audio engineer for the other podcast, and I talk shit about him at the end of every episode. So yeah. Gabe, hit me with some acknowledgments.
Of course, Jessica. This podcast is part of the Stupid Little Podcast Network. Woo. It is hosted and edited by Gabe Koski and Jess Perdue. The theme music is by the super talented Bayard Russell. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next round.
Yeah, we'll see you after Barcelona.
Awesome.
Bye. Everybody.
Bye.